I'm Anna,
And I'm Fran.
and you're listening to Murder Words. Okay, you guys. So I have a story tonight. I was gonna do Oscar Pistorius, but I was going through that because I wanted to do something for Valentine's Day, and that was a
Aw.
Valentine's Day one. But you said all like it was a cute
It
death.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But
I was
the
trying to be
last
positive.
couple weeks have been crazy for Fran, not me. Fran has had a series of unfortunate events, has been her life
It really has
the
been.
past couple weeks. And you can hear her now. She's getting over pneumonia, so her voice is coming in and out, but we decided to go for it anyway.
Yes, we wanted to record tonight. It's been too long.
It's been too long, and we don't go this long without seeing each other most of the time, and we're the only person each other hangs out with because we're homebodies, so.
We're okay with virtual
Yeah.
things now.
So, my story tonight is like a love triangle. I liked it because I was watching. Actually, a friend of ours messaged me and said, "You guys need to check this out. Like, this is crazy." Like, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It's a 2020 episode called "A Tangled Web,"
Ooh.
and I went and watched it immediately. And I was like, "I'm doing this one because this is way better." Even my husband was like, "This is way better than your last one you were trying to do." Which, by the way, my husband, when Fran came over tonight, he made a pot of regular coffee and a pot of decaf coffee and then labeled it for us because I'm an old lady and I can't have caffeine this late.
It was so cute.
Okay, I'm just going to get right down to it. So this was kind of recent. This started in 2012. So the person who ultimately gets in trouble was sentenced in 2017. So it was not that long ago.
Oh, wow.
So this starts out in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So this is kind of like the hub of where this is all going down. I got most of my information from the 2020 episode, and also in that episode, an author named Leslie Roll is talking, and she wrote a book called A Tangled Web, just like the episode. So
Oh.
I got a lot of it from some of the stuff she wrote and from that episode. So hopefully I can not say it as beautifully as them because I'm not an author. But so this all started with a man named David Kroupa. Dave, which is, I'm assuming what he likes to go by because that's what everyone kept calling him. He was a mechanic, super nice guy, like someone that you don't think is going to end up like in the middle of a situation like this. Just like a normal, like,
Like your friendly mechanic.
yeah,
on the
just like
road.
your friendly, like my car's broken, so let me
Like
go
the
to
guy you call and you're
Dave.
like, hey, this guy will hook you up
Yeah.
kind of guy. Yeah.
So he had recently separated from the mother of his children. They were together 12 years. They had 2 children. Her name is Amy. Once they broke up, he went through like a crazy stage. Like he definitely liked the women. David moved to Omaha, Nebraska, which like on the map is really close. So I'm assuming it's kind of like right across the river type of situation.
Like a neighboring town. Or
Yeah. He got an apartment, just like a, a dad apartment and man cave type of situation. And he quickly met a lady named Liz Golyar online. Her real name is Shanna, but her middle name is Elizabeth. She likes to go by Liz.
Okay.
That is important later. He was online all the time, like dating profile, like meeting women online. That's what he liked to do. He said Liz was super sexy. She was a single mother. Her kids were around the same age as his. And she owned her own business. It was called Liz's Housekeeping. So she seemed like, pretty...
Like a catch, right?
Yeah, like a good catch. So their first date was at a coffee shop. They had fun. They were laughing. David was upfront with her, saying like, I like you or whatever, but pretty much like this is just like a hookup kind of thing for me. Like he wanted to be free at that time and just have all the women. So
isn't it the worst?
Yeah, so he just wanted to like, you know, have like hit it and quit it type of situation.
Right.
He then met someone the old-fashioned way. So this woman's name was Cari Farver, and she brought her Ford. Let me make sure I get the car right because I'm terrible at car stuff. Her Ford Explorer into the shop for him to work on. So he saw her, said she was beautiful. They had like an instant spark. Not too long after that, he was like on his dating website online, and he saw her profile on there, and he was like, you know, when she was in the shop, like they were talking, and you know, he definitely noticed her.
One of those things that just keep coming up, and you're like, okay,
yeah, so
this is meant to be.
He saw her, and he was like, okay, this is a sign. And so Cari was also a single mom to a 14-year-old son, and she was a computer programmer. So
smart.
Both of these women, yeah, catch it. Both of them are catches. So he's just getting all the women. So David like friended her on. I've never had an online dating profile, so I don't know. I messaged her, swiped, I don't know, and they ended up talking. And David asked her out on a date, and they went to a date to Applebee's. Was their first date, and they had a blast. Just like with Liz, he invited her over. She said yes. They started like getting all hot and heavy, and she stopped him and said like, listen, if we're gonna do this, it's got to be cash. Like, I'm not trying to have a boyfriend, and I'm not your girlfriend, so this is how it's gonna be. And he straight up thought he won the lottery.
Yeah.
He was like, yes. One day there was a close encounter between Liz and Cari. So Cari was just getting up, kind of leaving for the day. Liz was coming to get some of her things from David's house. And they passed each other in the hallway. I don't know if they talked or not. It was a very brief type of situation. No one ever really brought it up. Like, Cari never brought it up to her family. Like, it never seemed to be any type of big deal. Cari was working long hours at her office, and her office was close to David's house. So somehow, within a couple weeks, she ended up with a set of keys to David's apartment.
Getting less casual now.
Yeah, he was like, hey, like, you're close, you're working long hours, like, just come stay at my house, and, you know, it'll just make it easier. They'd been together 2 weeks at this time.
Wow.
They
2 weeks.
Moving quickly.
2 weeks, here's my key. Here's my social security number.
So, November 13th, 2012, David woke up, normal day, getting ready for work. He leaves around 6:30. He's saying bye to Cari and gives her a kiss. He expected to see her that evening, like when she got off work. No big deal. Nothing out of the ordinary. Mid-morning, when he was at work, he got a text from Cari that said she wanted to move in with him, like, officially.
After 2 weeks.
After 2 weeks. And he was like, bro, like, we had an agreement. Like, this was supposed to be casual. Like, what is happening? No. Like, absolutely not. So he told her no. Immediately there was a response that said, fine, I hate you, I'm seeing someone else anyway, like lots of profanity, like, bye.
Okay, so she's crazy.
She's crazy. So he was like super confused, but just, you know, whatever, dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
See you later, Cari. So he went home, probably called Liz.
Right? To vent about it crazy.
Yeah, a couple days of silence, and then he started getting texts again from Cari. More like, I hate you. All, like, just crazy. Like, just being so
she
crazy.
Flipped.
Like,
from
she
being the
just
nice
flipped.
catch and then just flipped.
Yes. And so he thought she was just putting on this act for the first couple weeks, and now the true Cari is coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of go into Cari's background, who she is, what's kind of going on with her.
Yeah, we need some details of how she turned out like this.
So she grew up in Macedonia, Iowa. Super small town, like, you know, you see on the TV, like white picket fences, like some kids chasing some butterflies. That's what I imagine outside. So Cari was super close with her mom, Nancy. Cari was, full of life, fun, not like this crazy, what's happening now. Like, full of life. Everyone loved her.
She was stable at first.
Stable. Said to be extremely intelligent. She did an interview in high school, and she said she wanted to be known for always having a smile on her face and for being a little bit crazy. Same. Cari.
Yeah, right?
Same. So when she was 22, she got pregnant. It didn't work out with the father, I guess, while she was pregnant, and she decided that she was going to keep the baby and just be a single mom. This, really, her son, his name's Max, was everything to her. She was an amazing mom. Just, switched over, very devoted. I saw nothing but good things about how she mothered her child. Her mom, Nancy, thinks that Cari may have been a little bit overwhelmed. She was diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder in her 20s. But she took all the necessary steps. She was taking her medication. She was seeing a therapist. I did see something where she was literally in bed, under the covers for a week. Aww. She knew something was wrong, and she wanted to feel better.
Oh, I'm glad she got help for it.
Yeah, so by 2012... she was doing super well. There were no signs of... nothing was popping up. Okay, this is why she flipped.
She would pass, getting a gun.
Yeah.
Things like that. She was fine.
So she, she had that new job. She was just really happy, and she met Dave, and everything seemed super normal. Not one person was something weird was happening. So... she had asked her mom, Nancy, if she would watch Max for a few days while she was staying over at David's because she was working those long hours. So Max was staying there right around the same time that she is sending all these crazy texts and everything to David. She sends a text to her mom, Nancy, saying that she took a job in Kansas. Yeah, just random. So Nancy was like, what is happening? You need to call me and tell me what's going on. I have your son. So, I don't understand what's happening.
I prefer you didn't leave state right now.
Yeah, so Cari never called. She wouldn't call, refuse. She would just text her. And Nancy, she was a little concerned about this, but she was like, whatever. She's at David's. She'll be back. Her half-brother was about to get married, and she said she was going to pick her son Max up for it because Max was in the wedding.
Okay.
Well.
Super normal at this point.
Super normal. Maybe she's just having a moment.
You do that?
Yeah. So she didn't show up for the wedding. She didn't show up to pick her son. No call, no text. So Nancy was starting to panic, as any mom would.
Right.
And she called the police and reported her missing. When the police showed up, Nancy mentioned the diagnosis of bipolar and depression, and the police immediately assumed that was the issue. That's what's happening. They said situations like this happen when people who are bipolar stop taking their medication.
So they just dismissed it.
Just literally it was no big deal. And I was blown away when I heard that. I have a lot of friends who have a diagnosis of bipolar. I am not aware of any of them just disappearing.
No, you know what's going on.
You see them something is happening.
Usually, especially that they usually text too much.
Too much.
You know what I mean? Too much. Yes.
Yeah, so I was shocked at this, especially in 2012.
Yeah.
This wasn't 1920.
They diagnosed one with hysteria. You know what I mean?
So they pretty much blew it off at the same time. So these are running together, but they're not aware of what's going on in the other location, Iowa and Nebraska.
Okay.
At the same time, David is still receiving texts, calling him names, saying he's a terrible person. She has so much rage and jealousy in her text messages. It's she's actually going crazy. She's so angry. And the rage it's pointed towards him and his former girlfriend Liz, the one she passed in the hallway.
Oh, so she knows about Liz, existed at least.
So she started texting and emailing her out of nowhere. So this encounter in the hallway that everyone thought was no big deal is starting to kind of pop up. How does she know about Liz? What's going on?
Okay.
Liz was pissed. She wanted to know how this woman got her information. Why was she doing this? One day she literally came home from work and pulled into her garage and noticed that it had been vandalized. Someone had spray painted "Whore" from Dave on the wall.
Stop it.
Yes.
That is terrifying.
Yes. It supposedly was inside of the garage.
Inside the garage?
Literally pulled up and saw that. I would just, sorry, back out.
Yeah.
See you later. Like, that's not happening.
I just, like, locked the doors and burned the house down probably at that point.
So she, of course, called the police, filed a report. When the police got there, they found out, like, they started talking to her, and they kind of found out that her and Cari both had, well, Liz still having a relationship with this man named Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So they show up at Dave's place of employment. Like, what's going on? Why is there spray paint on this woman's wall that says "Whore" from Dave? Like, you can't do that. And he was like, that wasn't me. Like, he pulls out his phone and he's showing the police all of these messages from Cari. He's like, why is she, like, I don't know why she's doing this to us. Like, she's harassing us.
And she's basically a stranger to him, like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
She's basically like a stranger
to him. Why is she
him.
acting like this over 2 weeks? And they were like, the police were like, okay, yeah, so this is just like a situation of a crazy person. Like, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, in Iowa, Cari's mom has no idea any of this is happening. She was worried sick. I mean, her daughter is missing, but still texting the family. Like, she's still sending messages, but will not call them. Can you, like, literally, I would be so like, I call my mom multiple times a day.
Yeah, I do too.
I call her on the way to Zumba, take a Zumba class, and then call her on the way home. Like, my dad's actually like, what has changed in 15 minutes? If I just started texting my mom and never calling her, I feel like helicopters would be held so
they would.
cheap. Like,
mine the same, man. They would be exactly the same.
Like, I can't even imagine what this poor mom is feeling. So,
especially because she still has his kid.
So that's the next thing. So she gets so scared that she goes and files for guardianship of Max. Because at this point, she has no idea what's going on. She's confused. Like, she knows that something is wrong. She knows that something's happening. So she's missing birthdays, holidays. She missed her own father's funeral. So when she missed that funeral, she texted her mom and said, sorry, I missed the funeral. And her mom said, the only way I will know this is you is if you call me and I can hear your voice. She'd never called. So, and also she started sending mean messages to her mom as well, like saying that she was a bad mom and just randomly, like, lashing out.
Just yelling at her for no reason.
Yes. So Dave was starting to receive 60 plus text messages a day and over 100 emails every single day from Cari.
Oh no.
Like, this is all she did. Like, this was her job.
Just keeping
40 hours a week, just nonstop. He would even change his number and his email, and it did not stop her. Like, she would figure out what's going on, figure out the new number, and just continue.
That reminds me of, like, when you block someone on Facebook and they try to get a hold of you on Instagram. When you block them on Instagram, they try to, like, comment on your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like, anything that they can do just to get a hold of you.
And just, like, trying to get the attention. She would talk about Liz all the time, saying she is a nothing, calling her a fat cow, and saying she should kill herself. When I read fat cow, I was, like, so offended.
Yeah, I do
like,
call women fat.
Sounds like such a childish insult. Like, are you a child? But then, if someone called me a fat cow, I feel like I would probably cry.
Oh, I would definitely cry. I would definitely cry.
Mean. She also texted Liz, emailed her, and told her to stay away from her man.
Hopefully she didn't call her a fat cow in him.
I
imagine she did, but hopefully not.
She clearly did not care. One night, David was sitting at home in his lazy boy, all propped up, watching his TV, and he gets a text saying, I see you sitting in your chair with your blue shirt.
Stop it.
I swear, and it was all true. So at this point, Cari is straight up stalking. 100%.
She's crossed the line.
Out of the window, out in the... I can't even talk. Outside of the window, looking in.
Just watching him be casual.
Just watching him for no reason. And she says to him, my favorite thing to do is stand outside your window and stare at you. Stop it. Cari, you've taken it too far.
Way too far at this point. Like, I understand. I've been crazy too in my life.
Me
like,
too.
Blowing people up. Like, you know what I mean? When they were clearly not interested, but I'm still like, hey, like, if I just bother you enough, you'll get interested. But I never stood outside. But I never stood outside their window.
I won't message you until you love me.
Yes.
I've been there too.
Mm-hmm.
I have. But not once did I ever stand out a window.
No. I might have thought about it. Like, hey.
I'm surprised I didn't through all the other decisions I made. But.
Right.
What just happened? Cari? Finally, one day, there was a clue. David came home from work and noticed Cari's Explorer in the parking lot. Remember, he worked on this, like, he knew it was hers.
Yeah.
He saw the car there, and he was like, that's definitely Cari's. He got out, no one was in it. He took a picture of the license plate and sent it to the police.
What'd the police do?
The police showed up. They noticed, they were searching it. They noticed a mint can, like a, what are those called? The circle mints.
Oh, Altoids?
Yeah.
I think that's not the circle, but it's the same thing.
You guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a mint.
And it had a perfect fingerprint on it. They took that, they ran the fingerprint. It didn't match Cari, and it didn't match anyone in the FBI database. So this was basically just a dead end. Like, it did not help anything.
What?
Cari's mom was still panicking. Of course, about 5 months.
5 months.
After Cari's disappearance, Nancy, Cari's mom, gets a call. It's from a man. He is saying that Cari is at a homeless shelter. She's ready to come home. She wants her mom to come pick her up. So at this point, her mom is like shaking. Her heart's pounding. I mean, I can't I'm sweating right now, and I'm not I have a sweat stash thinking about this. So they go over there. The police go with her. They tell Nancy she needs to wait in the car. They go in and they come out shaking their head. Cari's not there.
Who called?
I don't know. I never found anything else about the man who called. Nothing.
Oh.
Literally, this was another dead end.
Oh my gosh. I'm starting to get really concerned for Cari's safety, even though she sounds crazy.
Yes. So,
I'm still getting concerned for her safety at this point.
At the same time, Cari's friend Amber is getting texts from Cari saying pretty much the same thing. She wants to come home. She made a huge mistake. Amber, Cari's friend, is like an angel and is like, yes, I'm here. Tell me where to come get you.
Aww.
Like, I'm going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I would do that if
I
you
know.
disappeared.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
I'd be like, here I am. I'll drive. But she could never get Cari to, like, agree to meet her anywhere.
Right. She just talked about it a little bit.
Max, her son, was also clearly devastated. He decided to message her on Facebook, which is, he said, hi. Stop.
That poor baby.
When people say hi to me, I think there's like an emergency.
I do too.
I'm like, oh my God, this cannot be good. They said hi.
It sounds so downward. Yeah. Hi.
And she immediately answered and she said, hey, little man, how are you? And he said, in order to prove that it's you, I need you to answer these 3 questions. What is my middle name? What was our first boxer's name? And who was my best friend as a child? She never responded, but she did post a status on Facebook talking about she has answered enough questions. She doesn't need to prove herself. She's not missing. She just doesn't want to come home right now.
It was her son.
Can you imagine being 14 and your mom just being the best mom ever and then
nothing at all?
And then nothing. Like, that has to be so confusing.
Won't even confirm that she's okay and alive.
Yeah. During this time, the stalking and harassment is just getting so much worse. David is receiving thousands of texts and emails.
A day?
Thousands. With threats. She's saying that she hates him so much, she wants to drive a knife through his heart.
Oh my gosh.
They were starting to refer to her as Crazy Cari. So everyone was knowing, you know, oh, here's another text from Crazy Cari. And the devastation that David and Liz were going through brought them back together. Like, they were back together now because they had this common bond of, like...
Crazy Cari.
Crazy Cari. So they were like, we're just going to kind of, you know, get together.
What?
They would be hanging out together, like, watching a movie, just chilling, probably in that lazy boy. and both of their phones would start going off, just blowing up, and it was Cari.
Did they get like a spotlight for outside or anything?
It was an apartment complex.
Oh, so
yeah, so I
she
mean,
really had to go far with this.
Yes, I'm imagining like second story, like her on a ladder, just like really. When I was like watching this, it was like so creepy. Oh my God. One day, Liz isn't there, and David gets an email of a picture of what looks like Liz tied up in the trunk of a car with like duct tape over her mouth, and the email says, "I have Liz, you need to call her right now and tell her you hate her, she's a whore, and I'm gonna kill her, or I'm gonna kill her."
Oh my gosh.
So Dave's like, "Bro, what?" And he called Liz, and she just laughs it off, says she's fine. Like, they were so numb to this at this point that they were just like, well, just crazy Cari again, just
making something up again.
Yeah, so they just like kind of go back to their normal life.
So she was okay
after this. She was okay. She was just like, I don't know what's happening.
How crazy.
Yeah, like she is just making shit up.
Mm-hmm. She's always forewarning them, like it's coming, guys.
Like, I'm gonna like, you better watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Cari then emailed a link to David with Liz's fake obituary. Cari wrote in it, "I didn't know her very well, except that she was a whore and a man-stealer. Thank God she's gone."
What?
So can you imagine the level of creepiness? If someone sent me a fake obituary of... Like, they would have to put me in... What's it called? Where you're...
Hospitalized?
No,
what do you mean?
Hidden, like, they put you...
Witness protection?
Yes, because I would be so terrified.
I would be too.
It doesn't stop here. Like, of course it doesn't stop here. It just continues to get worse. August 2013. This is 9 months after Cari was last seen. Liz calls David in a panic. Her house is on fire.
Stop.
Her house is on fire. Like, flames. So David rushes over there. He said that there were fire trucks everywhere, just hose, like they were blowing, I mean, it was just like the whole thing.
Yeah.
The house was gone.
The house was on fire.
Yes, it was all the way on fire. Her kids weren't home, but all of her stuff was destroyed, including 2 dogs, a cat, and a snake. All died in the fire.
That is tragic.
How can one kill, like... I just can't even imagine.
That is awful.
So, according to the police audio, which, if I can find again, I might try to put it in here. Mm-hmm. If it's not in here by the time this episode comes out, then I couldn't figure it out. So, maybe I'll just put a link to it. So, Liz states in the audio that this guy she's seen has an ex that has been stalking her since last November. She tells police her name. Of course, it was Cari. David had so much guilt from this. He thought, of course, this was all his fault. Like, if he never got with Cari, like, none of this would be happening. Mm-hmm. So, a few months later, David's place of employment was vandalized. In fluorescent orange. It was huge on the wall, and they said it was, like, on a main road. It was outside, like, facing the main road. Everyone could see it. Everyone he worked with, everyone in the community. It said, "David beats women." So David, of course, started to panic. He felt unsafe, like she was there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he went out and bought a gun for safety because he thought, like, she's on the verge of killing.
Well, the police aren't doing anything at this point.
Yeah,
so...
no one's doing anything. They think, oh, she's just crazy.
And that's such a bad thing. Like, I mean, that's like your reputation's ruined.
Yeah, your reputation's ruined. No one's helping you. Like, no one's believing you. So... On the anniversary of their first date, Cari sent an email to David addressed to my husband with a picture of a knife that says, "I've been creeping around in your place."
Like in his apartment.
Literally, can you imagine?
No.
Dave and Liz were, of course, like I said, bonded over this. They were seeing each other, but David was still pursuing other women. He was still doing the whole, like, I'm free, we're cash, you know.
And Liz knew about this? Like, she was like, oh, okay, cool.
Liz knew about this. She seemed to be okay with it. I mean, she stayed around, so...
Right.
Other women started commenting on his social media pages. When this would happen, Cari would see that and would send them messages.
Oh, no.
She sent one woman a message that said she would kill her children if she didn't leave David alone.
Oh, my God.
So, can you imagine just liking someone's picture and then a woman messaging you like, I will kill your children?
That is insane.
Ma'am.
She blowing that thing up all the time.
January 2014, a woman came to visit David. So this woman...
Is this 2 years later?
Yes, this is still happening. 2 years later, this is still going on. This woman, her and David were friends in high school. I think they've always, from the impression I got, they've always been kind of like a hook, like on and off type of thing. They always just vibe together. She came in to visit him at his apartment. At the apartment, his phone started blowing up, of course, and then he had to explain to her, like, I have this crazy ex, she's been stalking me since 2012, like, don't worry about it, just ignore the phone going off nonstop.
Which, of course, with women, like, that's already a red flag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, you're calling your ex crazy. You know what I mean?
That is a red flag for me. If someone does that, I immediately take the ex's side.
I do, too.
I'm like, she's not, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Leave her alone.
Like, you're 5 minutes into this and you're saying she's crazy.
Yes.
Like, what's your part?
So she sent him a text saying, I see you in there with that whore. She really liked to use the word whore.
She apparently did.
I don't ever say that word and it feels weird for me to say it right now.
And it's like, here's a whore, there's a whore, everywhere, whore.
So, yeah, like he explained to her. They ended up going to bed and then all of a sudden they heard what sounded like a gunshot. So they panic. They're running through the house. They're like preparing. They found out it was a brick being thrown through the bathroom window. The police came. They made a report. When they left, David was like, hey, get in my car. We need to go check on Liz. Because she's threatened Liz before too. Like, we need to go make sure she's okay.
This poor high school friend, she's just walked into a mess.
I know. She's probably like, I'm actually going to go. If you could just schedule me a lift.
Yeah, we'll be good. Like, I'm gonna go. Like, this is getting a little bit more than our casual hookup right now.
Yeah. So Liz stuck around through all of this. Like, she didn't let this drama scare her off. She was fine, by the way.
Okay, good.
The harassment soon moved to David's ex, the mother of his children, Amy. So she was starting to get messages calling her names. The police weren't doing anything about it. She was like, this should never be happening to me. Like, get your life under control.
Right.
Like, these women that you're seeing, like, no.
Don't bring your crap back here.
I would be like that too.
I already walked away from all your crap. Don't bring it back.
So 2.5 years, Cari's been gone. The case is cold on both ends. Mm-hmm. One's just like they don't care because it's just a man getting harassed. They're probably like,
poor man.
You could have worse problems type
right.
of situation.
Too many women want you.
Yeah, the other one is cold. So 2 detectives came in. They heard about this case. They heard talk about it, and they wanted to take a look at it. Detective Ryan Avis and Jim Doty. They asked their supervisor if they could come in and volunteer to get some fresh eyes on this because they thought this was very weird, very suspicious. Like, a mom just isn't a loyal mom and then stops for 2.5 years.
Okay.
So something was weird about this. They decided to approach the case. One, I thought this was really cool. One decided to approach it like Cari was dead. Like, he was going to prove she was dead.
Right.
The other one decided to approach it like she was alive, and he was going to prove that she was alive, so they could kind of come at it.
Cover all spectrums. Angles. That's smart.
Yes. Ultimately, they decided that they could not prove Cari has been alive this whole time. No money was spent from her account. No one has seen her or heard her voice. The texts and emails didn't even sound like her. They had like grammatical errors. Her mom said they would never, she would never send messages like that because of how she was. They knew about her diagnosis and they were like, no, that has nothing to do with it. No one ever no. That doesn't
disappears
even make sense.
For 2.5 years.
They were smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
This was huge for the case because Cari, the stalker, might have actually been dead this entire time. So who who's the stalker?
Right.
Like, who's doing this? Who's creating all this chaos in these lives? This just went from a missing persons, like a cold case, to a potential homicide investigation.
Okay.
I know. As Avis and Dodie went through the case files, they noticed that Liz was a common theme in all of this. Her name was coming up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to call in digital forensics. Cari sent Dave over 15,000 emails throughout this time.
Oh my gosh.
They wanted to find out where they came from. Like if Cari was actually deceased. They spoke with Liz. She eventually gave them her phone so they could look through everything.
Right.
One thing that they saw on her phone was a photo of Cari's Explorer. The date of the photo was taken before the car was discovered. It gets a lot weirder.
Okay.
Another thing that they found, there were 6 calls to Cari's residence from Liz's phone, but used with the star 67. You remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Yes. So, for those of you that don't know, if you're younger, the star 60, is that still a thing?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like you can just dial in apps now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The star 67 was used to hide your number when you called people. I used to use it all the time.
I did too.
We were crazy.
Well, we only had like landlines.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
So that's what we used.
If we wanted to check if our crush was home, we just called 69. If they answered, or the parents would be like, "Hey, so and so there," and they said yes, you just hang up real quick.
So that didn't make sense because according to Liz, they only met once in passing. So why would she be calling
for that many
Cari's
times?
house?
Yeah.
They found a picture in Liz's phone of a woman tied up in the back of a car. The same one that was in the email. It showed that picture was taken with Liz's phone. Bitch. Liz straight up tied her own hands, taped her own mouth, and crawled into her trunk.
Stop it.
And got a picture.
That is a lot of effort.
Yes. They went to talk to Nancy and tell her, like, hey, we believe you. Like, your daughter did not just disappear.
Right. And
to see how Nancy reacted to that, like, this was the first time someone was like, I believe you.
That your daughter's
your
just
daughter is
run off.
Something is wrong. So she felt relieved. She said at the beginning she was like short with them because they called her like, we want to come talk to you, and she was like, no, okay, like you haven't done anything
right in 2.5 years.
So she was like got that new, not motivation. What am I looking for?
Like hope. A hope.
Yeah,
hope. The word hope.
It's late. So when they were talking to Nancy, she told them that when all of this started, she got a text from Cari that said, I sold all my stuff. Here's a check. You can come pick it up. The check was made out for $5,000, written to Cari, and it was signed by a Shanna Golyar. Now, if you remember, Liz is actually Liz's middle name. Her real name is Shanna. So that check was written by her inside of Liz's house. I mean, inside of Cari's house.
Oh my gosh.
Another thing. I died with this. They ran the fingerprint on the mint thing. It was a match with Liz.
Oh my God.
So they decided to tell David that they suspected this was Liz. David was like, that can't be possible.
Right.
Like, we have been sitting together on the couch and both started receiving messages. Like, I've seen this happen to her too. So this is impossible. Police, they can't prove that Liz killed Cari. Like, literally what I just said, that's what they have.
Right.
It seems like good evidence to me, but when you get in front of a jury and a judge, you have to have some really strong evidence. In the summer, so she doesn't know either that these 2 detectives are onto her. She has no idea. She doesn't know them. They've never talked to her.
Okay.
So in 2015, Liz walked into the police station. She once she leaves, the detectives are like, this is a great opportunity. Like, she was in here. What was she reporting? We're going to her house.
Yeah.
So they show up and they just pretty much play dumb.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, we don't have a caseload right now, so whatever report you just filed, like, we'd be happy to help you with.
Okay. Like, volunteer here. I'm going to volunteer my time.
So the detective gets in there and he starts talking to Liz. And he's like, what's going on? She all of a sudden says someone's been harassing her for years now.
Mm-hmm.
She thought it was Cari. The detective was like, oh, yeah, can you spell Cari? I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Even though he's been doing this.
You say Cari, right? Not like Curly. No, just Cari.
She says that now she thinks it actually is Amy, the mother of Dave's children.
Oh.
She's just changed her mind. He then says, can I do a download of your phone? I have a machine here, so I can see the messages that you've been getting that you're talking about.
Right.
She says yes and signs the paper. When her phone was downloaded last time in 2013, she was seen like as a victim.
Right.
Like, they weren't really they found some stuff, but they didn't notice that until these new detectives came in and saw that.
Right.
Now, a couple years later, she's agreed again to let them see her phone. So it's from 2013 to this point, which is 2015.
Oh my gosh.
So the detective couldn't believe that she was just like, yeah, sure. She thought that it would just be the messages. Like, she didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can literally download everything. Things that have been deleted. Things that you think no one's ever going to see.
Right, your
like,
Googles.
They're getting it all.
Mm-hmm.
So he took it straight to digital forensics. While all this is happening, Dave calls the police and says his gun is missing. Liz had mentioned this missing gun to police, stating that she thought Amy took it.
Oh my gosh.
Keeps placing the blame on Amy. On December 5th, 2015, 6 days later, 6 days after David reported the gun missing, there was a call to the police, a woman saying she had been shot. It was Liz. She was in a park, said she was just alone. She was eating and walking on a trail in the dark when a woman came up behind her and shot her in the leg and ran off. So they said that they got like people out there, like helicopters and all of this, like trying to find this random woman who shot her in the leg and ran off, and they never found anyone.
Okay.
So they are suspecting that she shot herself. She said she didn't know who it was. When she got to the hospital, she said it was Amy.
Oh.
She's really just...
Poor Amy. She's just getting shoved with it.
Yes. Police did talk to Amy. She was immediately like, she had an alibi. They knew it wasn't her. They knew that Liz had shot herself. Evidence shows no one else was even in the park that night.
You mean randomly in the middle of the night, just walking
Eating
a trail?
on a trail, like no one's targeting. Yeah, so she literally made all of this. Like, she is taking... I've never heard anything as crazy as this.
No, she's taking it so far right now.
David finally starts to see that maybe it is Liz. Oh. And he starts to get mad.
Just now?
He's like, y'all better get her or else I'm going to kill her.
Right.
Because she's been torturing everyone for years.
Right.
Back to the phone. Liz signed up. This is what digital forensics found. Liz signed up for 20 to 30 fake email addresses using Cari's name.
Oh my God.
Then they are able to trace every single email, text message, everything that was sent to them back to one of Liz's devices. Like, some of them were her phone, some were her computer, things like that. They were tracing everything back.
Oh my God.
They found out that Liz has been using an app. Bitch, I died with this. Where you could send a message and then receive them at a later date. So she could sit on the couch and start receiving these messages at the same time that Dave was receiving them and make it look like it wasn't her.
She really went into this.
Like, all of this to get closer to a man. Like, I can't even fathom. Like,
and just to get close to him.
Wants casual, like, move on.
That man is
what is
very
happening?
loved. That man is very sought after.
So, like I said, like this literally was a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Not from Cari, from Liz.
Right.
Like, she's trying to be someone else as a stalker. I can't even...
Like, I mean, she went far. She texted the mom, the family.
Everyone.
Everyone.
People commenting on his Facebook.
Yeah.
Her son.
Mm-hmm.
That's straight evil.
Mm-hmm.
Dodie and Avis, the detectives, brought in Liz for an interview a couple of weeks after she shot herself. He told her they were working a missing persons case for Cari.
Mm-hmm.
She still doesn't know they're on to her. Like,
right.
she has no idea. So they, again, like, come up with a scheme for her because they see her kind of personality. They're like, we're going to have to manipulate this girl because she is a psycho.
Use her against herself.
Yeah. So they wanted her help. Like, they made it seem like they wanted her help.
Okay.
They told her that they had found remains. They think that it's Cari.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts to, shocking, shift blame towards Amy.
Oh, Amy again.
Yeah, saying, and the police went along, like the detectives went along with this. They were like, you know what, we do think it's Amy too.
This poor Amy.
Can you help us?
This poor Amy, like, this is the longest divorce period ever. You know, all she did was try to get divorced.
I know. She has zero to do with this, and she's getting blamed for everything. And they were like, listen, can you get some messages from Amy? Like, admitting that she did this.
Right.
Like, we need evidence so we can put her in jail, and we need you to help us. So, Liz, she's like that kind of person that has to be in control all the time. Has to feel like she's in control. Has to know it all. Has to feel like she's smarter than everyone else. So she's like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm going to see, you know, if she's bold enough to go out and shoot me, then she's bold enough to go out and, like, kill people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's feeling like, yeah, I'm going to help put Amy in jail. Once Amy's out of the picture, then I can definitely get David for myself.
Right.
The detectives knew that she would, I mean, they didn't know when, but they thought, like, yeah, she's going to send these messages to herself and then come back to us.
Right.
Literally within a few days. Like, this was a genius move. It took a few days. Literal days. And Liz played right into it. She says that she has messages from Amy saying, I shot you, Liz, to make sure David stayed away from you. I got rid of the gun. But Dodie talks to Liz, and he's like, listen, that's not enough. Like,
right.
Try to get her to talk to you about the murder. So they're trying to get Liz to talk about details only the murderer would know.
No. Right.
So they're trying to get her to confess pretty much through acting like it's Amy.
Right.
She's
so
like,
smart.
I know. They were like, we need this. Like, she's not going to go to jail if you don't get this for us.
Right.
A few more days. Like, that's all. She's like, oh, it's been a few days. Like, it doesn't look suspicious anymore. A few more days, Liz has more emails from Amy. It says, when I met Crazy Cari, she would not stop talking about Dave and him being her husband. She tried to attack me, but I attacked her with a knife. I stabbed her 3 to 4 times in the chest and stomach area. I then took her out and burned her. I stuffed her body in a garbage can with crap.
I didn't realize Amy and her were such good friends. That she
Yeah, like Amy's just gonna
divulged
be like,
all of her deepest, darkest secret.
After this incident, they decide they're gonna push Liz to her breaking point. They know Liz's worst nightmare. Of course, we all know Liz's worst nightmare now is David getting with someone else.
Right.
So they call Amy. Actually, they call Dave, and they're like, "Hey, bro, can you move in with Amy? Like, you're getting back together. Like, move in with her. Can you do this, please?"
Put a little fuel in the fire right now.
Yes. And she did that. Like, they knew if that happened, like, she's going to kick it into high gear trying to get Amy put in jail.
Right.
And it worked. So, within a few days, Liz called the station. She's literally bawling, crying on the phone. Like, just telling all her problems to the cops.
Like,
Never
my
in
man
my
left
mind.
me.
Yeah. So, she's literally says, looks like the only person here who benefited was her. She gets to shoot somebody and kill somebody and then gets to move in with Dave and be free. You guys aren't arresting her. Liz.
Come on, Liz.
Liz, stop. I'm embarrassed reading
How are
that.
you not mad at Dave?
Why are you going to call the
Like-
cops and be upset because someone moved in with your boyfriend?
Can we also talk about the fact that Liz burned down her own house?
Oh, we will get to that.
Okay.
Like, that part blew my entire mind hole. I almost threw myself onto the floor.
Burned her entire house with her pets in it.
She killed her pets.
She killed her own pets. Like, that is unforgivable.
When that happened, I stared at my pets. Like, I will never burn you down, don't worry.
You
Don't
soft
listen. Cover
whispers.
your ears.
Don't read
Started
this.
singing to them. So Liz states she doesn't understand why that email wasn't enough. Like, she, in her mind, like, that was enough information.
Right.
Dodie tells her they still need more. They wanted things only the killer would know.
Ooh.
Within days again. Again. More confessions started to appear. One said, I really did kill Cari, and I did it in her own car. So they went back to the car.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, maybe we should look at it, get some fresh eyes. And they pulled out the passenger seat and, like, took the fabric off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge, big red stain.
Oh my God.
It was a positive test for human blood. They sent it off, and it was a match for Cari.
Oh no.
So, Liz had a warrant for an unpaid traffic citation. You know that they always hold that, like, just in case they need to use it.
Right.
So they go and pick her up. They bring her into the station. When she gets there, they tell her what's up, pretty much. They're like, this is why you're really here. And they, like, confront her with the evidence.
Like, we tricked you, haha.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
here's what's up.
Yeah, your fingerprints were in the car. She gets pissed, dude. Like, she starts acting like a little child brat. Like, her arms are crossed. If you could just see her interview, like, she's a brat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, has the head bob, like, crossing her arms. Like, those aren't my fingerprints. I've never been in her car. They're like, we have literally tracked all of these texts and emails back to your devices. She's like, that's not true. I've never had internet at my house.
What?
Like, that is so stupid.
That is such a weak point.
That is exactly, like, in my history when I was using and I would fail a drug test and be like, that wasn't me.
Nope.
I didn't use.
Didn't do
That's
it.
someone else. Someone snuck that in my drink. Like, it just doesn't make, no one believes you.
Right.
Like, no one is believing you. But she was very adamant. They bring up the fact that literally just everything they brought, like, she thinks she's smarter.
Right. You
than
can talk
them.
her way out of it.
You could literally tell her, like, the sky is blue. And she'd be like, nope, absolutely not. Do not believe it's red.
It's
Like, that's the kind of person that she is. And when you're watching it, you just get mad watching it. Because you're
Right.
like, how are you so adamant right now when you know you're wrong? Like, everyone knows you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's one of those situations where you're like, you get pissed watching it. She eventually requested an attorney. So, the conversation stopped. While she was in the interrogation room, the detectives were doing a search on her house. They had a warrant. They were searching it while she was in there getting questioned.
Right.
They found Cari's camera and a video camera. So that literally means that Liz went into her house at some point, stole those items, and that she's kept it in her house for years.
Oh my gosh.
There was a video on the video camera of Cari. It was like a few days before she was last seen. And she was, like, talking into it. Someone had vandalized her car. And they think it was Liz. I don't know if they ever had any proof for that. But, I mean, it was just her, like, you could tell she has, like, a sense of humor. She's like, someone thinks they're an artist and can just, like, showing their work all over my car.
She was, like, video diarying.
Yeah. And so that, they saw, that was, like, the last known footage of her. Because of that, they were able to arrest Liz. But
Yeah.
they were nervous at this point because they were like, this is all, like, there's no body.
Right.
There's no witnesses, like.
There's no weapon.
So
it's hard.
Yeah, so they're kind of nervous. And the person who is defending Liz is, like, a local celebrity. Like, he's, like, the lawyer to get.
Oh.
And he knows that there are holes in their case.
Right.
So it's already everyone's getting nervous. The prosecutor said this is one of the toughest cases she had because it was so weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't like someone walked in and shot someone. It was like all of this stuff over years. Like, who's going to believe that you killed your own animals?
Right.
Like, how are you going to convince a jury? Like, she burned her house down and killed those animals. Like, there's no... I feel like that should be a charge in itself, clearly.
That should definitely be a charge.
Also, she shot herself.
She did. She shot herself.
Like, she straight up pointed a gun at her leg, like, boom, and then called the cops, like, someone just shot me.
Tied herself up in the back of her car.
Put duct tape over her mouth. I can't.
That would be hard to explain to a jury. Yes, it would.
Yes. So they wanted to visit David again, the two detectives. Just like one last time. They were talking to him and they asked him, is there anything we're forgetting? David was like, you know, there is this tablet that's been in storage forever. I don't know if that can help you, but maybe you just want to go, like, take a look at it. He said that they've asked him that question a lot and he's never said yes, but for some reason that popped in his head. Like, he just remembered it. Like, hey, maybe look at that. They took that to the digital forensics and they found a micro SD card in it. They said, like, if you plugged it into your computer, it was blank. Like, nothing popped up. But they could pull everything that had been deleted on it. And apparently, it used to be in Liz's phone. And she deleted a bunch of stuff off of it. Thousands of images. Normal ones, like family and kids, selfies. You know, the guy was just, like, scrolling through, like, another selfie.
Right.
And then he saw one, and he was like, I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. It's not a direct quote, but that's what I imagine him saying.
Just imagine him with a question mark over
what this is. So it ended up being a decomposed human foot with a tattoo on it. Whose tattoo? Cari's.
Oh my God.
So it was like she had to keep this one little thing as a trophy.
Yes.
So this was like, and this was after she was arrested, but before the trial. So this was like the evidence that they needed. Like, there's no arguing with it now.
Yes, this is a decomposing body with the victim's tattoo on it.
Yes. So Liz showed zero emotion during the trial. So in the beginning, somewhere in the process, I'm not good with the court stuff. You probably know this better. Initially, because they really didn't have that much, the prosecutor just pushed through the jury trial.
Right.
To the final one where the judge just makes the decision. In the meantime, they found this evidence. So that's where things kind of turned. They still didn't get a jury trial, but the judge made the ultimate decision on this. So, yeah, during this time, like, they are talking about years of torture, talking to Cari's children, like, this whole time. Even, like, they interviewed Liz's lawyer on 2020, and he was even like, I didn't say this to my client, obviously, but I was thinking in my mind, like, this is true evil.
Right.
Like, this is evil right now. Like, I am defending evil. Because she just sat there and, like, no emotion. She still, to this day, says that she's innocent. She still, to this day.
It's just trying still.
So the judge found Liz guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 18 to 20 years. So, you know, still claiming that the real killer is out there. Different news channels have, like, reached out to do interviews with her. She's declined, which surprises me.
That surprises me, too.
Usually people want the attention, but
right,
she's probably not too popular in prison because she killed her animals.
That's what I was thinking, too.
So maybe she wants to keep that a little bit of a secret.
A little bit of wraps, that part of it, yeah.
So that is the craziest story.
That's insane.
Ever. I'd never heard of it. I'm so glad, you know, one of our friends reached out and said, you need to do this, because I hope it made sense when I was explaining. It was a lot of back and forth, but...
It did. I understood it. So they've never found her body.
They've never found her body. As of... I mean, this is still recent.
Yeah,
so,
that's still recent.
It could happen, but there was a solution. I've met some crazy people in my life. I have never met someone who would go to that length.
For a man?
For a man.
Yeah, I haven't either. And I mean, I thought I've been crazy before with men, but I feel a lot better about myself right now.
Yes.
Because I did not do that.
Liz is... I just can't. So, I feel like that was way better than the Valentine's Day one I had planned.
It was. I really enjoyed that.
So
one other thing though. So like it was a decomposing foot. So she had to haul her somewhere for a while, then go back to the body and take pictures of it.
yeah, or she had her just somewhere.
Just in her
she just
closet.
kept her.
That's so crazy.
That's so crazy. And you think someone would smell that?
Yeah, something. Like someone would notice a foot. Because she must have dismembered her too because it's a foot.
I couldn't tell if it was like just the foot and the rest of the body wasn't in the picture or if it was like a detached foot.
Ooh.
I couldn't tell. So
She was evil.
I apologize too if you guys could hear me flipping papers. My husband tells us it's very distracting and we need to move to digital, but Fran and I are
We like paper.
old-fashioned, so I try to pause so we can edit it out, but I was getting a little crazy that time. So let us know what you guys think of this. Let us know any cases that you would like us to cover. We love when people
Suggest
recommend,
things.
Yeah,
Yes.
suggest us because we actually go and like check it out and see if it would be good to cover. Also, we are on like every
Platform.
now. So we're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, and YouTube. Eventually, we are going to put like some stuff on our YouTube channel. Right now, we're still just trying to figure everything out. So
We're newbies learning.
we're newbies. So it's still just going to be the normal. We've got a lot of requests to either film us while we're doing the podcast or put pictures up while we're talking about stuff.
Yes.
So we're gonna figure it out one day. So, okay.
Bye.
Alrighty, we'll talk to you guys next time.